I really wanted a gantry crane for unloading this, and I still want a gantry crane. But I had the idea to use an I-beam clamp on one of the building beams to make a good place to mount a chainfall. I almost didn't do it because some guys in one of the groups that are supposedly a lot more knowledgeable than me kind of had me freaking out that I was going to break my building and it was going to come crashing down around me, and I needed to take all kinds of tests and measurements and use strain gauges and plumb bobs and lasers and stuff, and I was like, holy crap, come on guys. So anyway, I went for it. I put a big old beam clamp on it. It's actually probably designed to clamp onto the I-beam on the top of a gantry crane, but my building is red iron frame and it's got big I-beams in it. I was a little concerned it might slide down that slope, but I figured if it did, I'd just stop. It's kind of weird in that it wanted to cam up in one direction, and I wasn't really comfortable with that. But when I looked at the grooves behind, or, the notches behind the hooks where it hooks onto the beam, it's designed that way. So I just tightened it up as tight as I could and tried to position it about where I thought the milling machine was going to be when I got there. I actually had measured where it was from the edge of the trailer and put a paint mark on the floor underneath that I was sighting to. We'll see in a minute if I got very close. Well, in a couple minutes. I actually had to hang the chainfall twice. The first time I hung it, the pull chain had gotten out of the chain pulley, and I had to take it down to take it apart and put that back together. I suppose I probably should have left that in the video, but it's already way too frickin' long for a simple job. That's it, just hooks right on. Still made me a little nervous with it being at an angle like that, but I figured if anything started sounding crazy, I'd just start spinning the chain in the other direction. Yeah, got a long way to go up. I got a chainfall that was probably a little too long. There we go, there's the hook. I probably should have 10x'd this section. That's a 2,000 pound chainfall for anybody who wants to know, and that's a 4,000 pound clamp rated, 4 or 5,000 pound rated beam clamp. What the beam's rated for is 100 mile an hour winds or 4 foot of snow load or an earthquake. Alright, any minute now we're going to see how close I got it. I'm not sure I got the trailer right down the line I was going for, but it was pretty close. My goal was to run it as close as I could to all of the garbage that you see there on the left. I don't remember how long ago it was I picked this up, a year and a half, 2 years ago. And it's been sitting on the trailer in the shop, taking up a crazy amount of space all this time because I was sweating how I was going to take the darn thing off the trailer without dropping it, I thought I had enough room, just enough, because I'd moved that stuff in front of, or behind the trailer back. And I did, but I kept backing up anyway. What you hear is me pushing that outboard motor stand back with the trailer. It's no big deal. I wasn't too worried about it. I could hear it. Finally, unstrapping it. Get my ratchet straps back after 2 years. Maybe I'll look it up and put a little text overlay in the video before I publish. I had to go inside the spindle housing so that I wouldn't crush the spindle housing when I started lifting. That shift there was the weight starting to come off the trailer. I think I've got the camera sitting on the mount for on the 3-point where the trailer is connected to a trailer hitch adapter for the 3-point hitch. I figured if I just barely lifted it up, maybe I could raise the front of the trailer to pull out from under it. You know, not raise it any further than I have to. But I wound up having to come back and raise it up a little more anyway. This is after the tilting the trailer idea didn't work. It's easy to tilt the trailer though because it's hooked up to a hitch on the 3-point. Had to change the point of view, otherwise the camera would have probably fallen on the ground when I started moving. Watch that assembly over there on the back corner on the right. Doesn't bother me in the least. That's actually the leftovers. That was an XY table, and I bought it just to use the table on a different project, which I did. And I just haven't brought myself to throw away the XY screws, even though I'll probably never use them for anything. Now I can move this mill around with the pallet jack in the shop. I've moved a bigger mill around with the pallet jack. I've got a South Bend 1050 SB 1028F, which is a 10x54 manual mill, and it's about 500 pounds heavier than this Bridgeport if the specs are accurate. The specs I've found on the Bridgeport are accurate. It could be. I've run across specs that are anywhere from 28 to 3,000 on this Bridgeport, and the SB 1028, the South Bend is 3,500 pounds, and I moved it around in the shop with the pallet jack, and then lifted it off with the engine hoist, cherry picker, whatever you want to call it. I actually let some of the guys, you know, make me afraid of doing this. What was turned out to be a pretty simple job, with all of their fear and you're going to make your building collapse. You need to use lasers and strength. You got the picture. It went just fine. I'm just raising the hook up out of the way so that after I move the mill, I don't run into it with anything else. For now, I'm just going to leave that chainfall there. I've got to store it somewhere. And my shop's pretty full of stuff, so that's where it's going to stay until I need it somewhere else. I'm just checking to see how far I can reach over to get those the lift chains and the pull chain out of the way. I need to make a hook of some kind and clamp it to the upright I-beam over there on the side so I can get the chain out of the way. There you go. That's the rig. There's the machine on the ground.